views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, you're encouraged to like and share them on Facebook, and you might as well subscribe when you do. It's time for the Sue Ellen Sanders Show with Sue Ellen Sanders and a house full.
Yeah, we have a house full of guests today, and I'm excited to have a friend who is on the show. She's wearing a new hat today, and you probably know Megan Johnson from being out and about in the community, formerly with the Boys and Girls Club, and very active in all sorts of other organizations. And her new hat as of this month is as executive director of the PACE Center for Girls. So congratulations, Megan. We're happy to have you here, and we're happy that you brought, in typical Megan fashion. She's one of those people where when you ask her to talk about her mission and what, her organization does, she brings along a crew because she knows, what's the expression? There's no I in team.
Absolutely not.
So, Megan, I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce the other folks you brought with you today.
Well, I am honored to have with me today Mrs. Adrienne Huggins. She's the program director for PACE Center for Girls Treasure Coast. And I have a lovely young lady who has recently transitioned out of our program successfully. She's doing amazing. And her name is Jakaya.
Awesome. So Jakaya is kind of a graduate of your program. She's exactly that.
Yes.
And then, may I call you Adrienne?
Absolutely.
As the program director, you work very closely with both the administration and with the girls, correct?
Yes, that is correct. I oversee the day-to-day operations of the program just to ensure that the staff, we are providing the services that our mission says, that we're making sure that we find the great in every girl.
And that leads us right into your mission and your services. So what exactly, a lot of people have heard of PACE Center for Girls, and they may not know exactly what you do in the community.
So our mission is to provide girls and young women an opportunity for a better future through education, counseling, training, and advocacy. And what that really means is kind of what Adrienne already said. It's up to us to find the great in every girl. And we do that through offering an intensive academic program with comprehensive wraparound counseling services that build confidence in each girl, that teach girls life skills that they don't necessarily get exposed to on a day-to-day basis, and really just kind of build them up socially, emotionally, and academically to get them back on pace with where they should be in the current moment in their life, and be able to give them the confidence that they need to go back into public school, or if they're of age, to graduate and to go on to a career or to a college of their choice.
Well, honestly, I can't imagine a teenage girl who doesn't need some help finding the great in her life, really. Whether they're at PACE or having to go to any type of alternative school or in public school or in home school or wherever you are. It's a tough time of life, right?
Very much so.
So, should we talk? Should we lead into some of the PACE services by having Jakaya explain how she ended up at PACE and what she learned from it?
I would love that.
Okay, so basically, like you said, there's like a lot of teenage girls that need help finding the great in themselves, and that's what I needed, but a little bit different from others. I was really, academically, I was, basically on my grades. My grades were tight, but it was just my behavior, and it was very, I want to say, it was just very troublesome.
Attention getting?
Kind of, yes. And it was just, I was going through a lot as a child in my childhood, so I didn't really know how to handle it, so I handled it the wrong way at those times. But when I got to PACE, it was kind of different because they accepted me for me, but they helps me, see the great in myself. And that's something that you don't really find in regular public schools.
Unfortunately, the way public schools operate, there's not funding set aside for anything but academics, really. And and the arts, and then you're really lucky when you get arts and sports and all of those extracurriculars, but there's definitely not a lot of place for social, emotional growth, and that's kind of what you were looking for. So that's how you ended up at Pace, and then you did find yourself.
Right. Like, it was a long journey, but they stuck with me through the whole journey. They accepted me when I got upset. They accepted me when I was happy. They accepted me on my worst days, and it was just kind of like it's a big family, because like when I first got there, I was kind of like, I don't want to be in a school full of girls. Who does? But it was just kind of like, it was like I underestimated like what they had and what they were capable of doing. And honestly, I really don't know where I would be if it wasn't for Pace, honestly. So
That's kind of a scary thought.
yeah.
And just to point out that there are studies that say that same-sex schools are better for kids, especially when they hit teenage years anyhow, whether they're Pace or whether they're any other type of school, but we just don't do it that way. And maybe we're jumping to conclusions, but teenage girls tend to have more drama in their life than boys.
Yes, they do.
And
And that's one thing that is very different about our program. Our program is gender responsive. It's strength based. It's trauma informed. So all of our staff know how to respond to girls' needs, which are different than boys. Typically, when a girl is suffering from trauma, they turn inward. And they'll beat themselves up, and there's things that you could overlook if you didn't know what to look for. So all of our staff is trained in that, and they know how to help the girls cope and get through what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Adrian, you look like you're getting ready to speak to that. You're shaking your head yes.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to piggyback off of what they have both said. It's very difficult when our girls initially come into the program because they're hesitant about being in an all-girls school. They feel like they need the attention from the boys and that, oh my God, girls are filled with drama. As they go through the program, they realize that our staff, we understand the adverse childhood experiences that our girls are experiencing, both inward and outward. And we use some of those experiences as teachable moments to help them understand what they're going through and how to work through those situations. If girls do have conflict with each other, which they do, Jakaya will tell you that, we turn those moments into a conflict resolution situation, and we allow the girls to sit together and talk about what the issue is by saying, you hurt my feelings when you did X, Y, and Z, or I don't like it when you do whatever the situation is. We don't expect for them to be best friends. And I always say, I don't expect for you guys to walk down the hallway and hold hands with each other. That's unrealistic, but I do want you guys to respect each other's space and respect each other's feelings around whatever the situation is, and go on with focusing on yourself. So once the girls realize that, hey, I'm here to focus on myself and not focus on what this other young lady is saying or doing, they are successful, just as Jakaya.
And the expression holds true with most socially needed programs, that it takes a village, and there's a lot of things that go into making Pace Center a success. So let's talk a little bit about that. You do your Pace Center for the Treasure Coast.
Yes.
So you cover the Treasure Coast, but there are other Pace Centers throughout the state of Florida. Is that
Yes, there
correct?
are. There are 21 locations throughout the state of Florida. As an organization, we serve over 3,000 girls a year.
Wow. And what's a little bit about the history of the organization?
So we were founded in 1985 by a lovely lady named Vicki Burke, and she started in a church basement with, I believe, 10 girls and a vision to just impact their lives. Now, I'm sure, Adrian, do you have any other specifics on that you can share?
Absolutely. She was seeing that there was a disproportion of girls being arrested for crimes or incidents that boys weren't. So things like running away from home. Girls were being arrested for that and seen as, criminals, and boys weren't. So she wanted to try to prevent those things from happening by implementing tools into those girls' lives to prevent them from entering the juvenile justice system.
And of course, once anyone enters the juvenile justice system, whether they be boy or girl, they're more vulnerable to other things that can go on in their world and change them forever, but especially girls.
Yes.
It's re-traumatizing. They already go through one traumatic experience, and then they're placed in the detention center, and that's even more traumatic. So if we have that prevention service in which we provide, we can intervene at an early age and start teaching the girls the tools and the skills that they need in order to be successful.
We are a nationally proven program. 95% of the girls that complete our program no longer have any incidents with the Department of Juvenile Justice.
That's pretty incredible.
95%.
So, yeah.
I can't believe it myself.
Yeah.
And then 90% actually transition back into their public schools and are successful or graduate and go on to a successful career or college experience.
So, but better prepared, because we were talking at the beginning of the show about some of the needs that teenage girls have, and as somebody who taught high school for a few years, I could tell you that even the girls who had no traumatic experience in their life, other than maybe not making the basketball team when they wanted to, or something minor, their best friend isn't their best friend anymore, those things become major things in their life, and then it's kind of like a magnetic field. It affects everyone around them in every class, in every area that they're in. So you're coming out of this experience, Jakaya, and you're actually better prepared than someone who didn't go to PACE at all.
Exactly. It's a lot of coping skills that you need to take along with you. And some people, like I've known a few girls, because I've been there for a while, maybe like 1 or 2 girls out of the 50 girls that they do serve, they're the only people that don't really take the tools that they have and did something with them. Majority of us actually learned something, and it's a very good experience, because it's like, if I didn't know this, or if I didn't know that, maybe I would have handled this situation differently. And it's plenty of world situations that are going to be very challenging and very hard for girls to get through, just as females in general. So it's very helpful to go there and learn, oh, you can do this when you're upset, or you can do this, or you can always come back to us. Once a PACE girl, always a PACE girl.
So did you get your public speaking skills at PACE too?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you
Yes, I
did.
did.
Another question. When you said at first when you got there you were a little bit uncomfortable with being there,
Right.
but what changed the experience of seeing how people were changing around you, or is it what changed within you?
Well, me personally, I'm independent. Like when it comes down to myself, I'm very independent, but I can also open up to people. So for me, it was just kind of making connections and allowing people to enter the things that I had going on that I didn't really tell anybody. So everybody else could do something else, and I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the right thing, or I'm going to do what I want to do that's going to better me. And I'm just like, I don't want to be a part of what everybody is, and I always told them I want to be different. That's just me. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be unique, and it helps me become the unique person that I am.
Of course, that whole thing about being unique can sometimes backfire on you when the unique thing about you might be something that other people don't really want you to be.
Right.
So it's,
Yeah.
you know, I hate to tell you, how old are you, Jakaya?
I'm 16.
16. even when you're 61, that doesn't change.
Right. It's been people who told me, "Oh, why do you want to be different? Like, why don't you just like follow what I'm doing, or why don't you just do the same thing I'm doing?" And I'm like, regardless of what you say to me, I'm gonna try to be different because I know that's my purpose, and I know that's why I'm here. So if it takes 100 years or whatever in order for me to leave a legacy behind, I will do what I have to do because that's just me.
And you got two ladies in the room who are looking at you like they're your proud mothers.
You just don't understand how proud we are of Jakaya. Jakaya came to our program, and she completed our program twice, actually. Yes. The first time she came, she finished everything academically. As she said, she's a superstar when it comes to academics. She transitioned successfully. She went home for a month. It was summer. She went home for a month. Her mom brought her back the next maybe 2-3 weeks, and Jakaya said, "Miss Adrienne, I just want to come back to school. I want to come to school." And I said, "Jakaya, you're in your right grade. Everything's going well. Why don't you enjoy your summer and come back in July?" So she did just that. She went home. She came back with her mom at the end of July, and she said, "Can I come back now?" And we said, "Absolutely, Jakaya." So then she re-enrolled in the program, started back August of last year, and then had some experiences, if you don't mind sharing, Jakaya, to really help us understand that there was a reason for her to come back to our program.
Okay.
Right. So when I left, my initial thought was so I'm going to transition. I'm going to go to Central, stuff like that. Turns out my assigned high school was Westwood, and the only reason why I didn't want to go there is not the school itself, it's the people. One thing about me, when I was in middle school, I was easily influenced. So I knew that would have been a bad decision for me because I knew a lot of kids there and they weren't doing the right thing.
And the crowd that you would have hung out with there,
I would have
led
took
you
me
astray.
down the wrong road. And I was just like, no. But there was also another reason for me going back, and I didn't really understand. But when I got there a few months later, my mother passed away, and it was very traumatic. It was very hard, but I was so determined to like be this unique person. Literally the day after she died, I came to school the next day, and that's something that people do not do. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do what I have to do for myself."
Pull the covers over your head.
Exactly. And I
stay in bed,
I was not afraid to face all the pain that it comes with, because it's just like I can't run away from my problems, and that's not, a lot of people don't see that, but I chose to face it. I chose to gain coping skills, and I still had a lot of work to do. I still have a lot of work to do, but I have improved a lot.
And as I said, no matter how old or young you are, people always are growing.
Right.
People always have a lot of work to do. It's when we stop trying to learn and grow that things can go badly.
Exactly.
So I really commend you for going back to school right away, but I do kind of understand where you're coming from too, that this was a place where things were normal for you.
Exactly. It wasn't like I'm in a public school, because now I realize how different it is, because now that I'm in public school, I had to adjust to the big setting and stuff, but they gave me the right tools. So I was like, okay, I understand what I have to do. I have to be patient. I have to be cool, calm, and collected. I have to be respectful. But before that, if I would have went back to public school, I would say the first time around, I probably wouldn't be doing as good as I am now, but I probably would have kept it cool.
Yeah. You learned after the first year, but the second year just made you stronger, where now you can go out and tell other people what to do from your experience. So what type of activities take place that create that change in attitude and confidence?
Well, sometimes, like, say if we have like a bad day or something, we compare it to public school. Public school has about, I would say my public school has about 2 to 3 counselors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the only thing that they're worried about that I see is academics, and that's one thing. Like, if you go to them like, "Oh, I have this issue, one thing that they're ready to do is like, "Okay, do you need to go to the doctor?" and stuff like that. Like, they really just, it's a straight shot for them.
They want to find the quick
Exactly.
solution because you know what? They have to handle so many people.
They have to handle so many people, and that's understandable. But when you're in PACE, it's a small setting. You can be with your counselor alone for maybe up to 15 minutes, as long as it's not in the sacred times of class. And it's just like you can easily talk to them about whatever you want, as long as it's not harming yourself or harming others. You can literally talk to them about anything, your relationships, your home stuff, and they will like help you if there's something going on that's putting you in danger.
And you know, I'm listening to you, and I don't want to play devil's advocate, but having spent 6 years in the public school system and seen some terrific guidance counselors, they're really good and they really mean to help, and they do help in very many ways.
Right.
But as you said, there are so many kids out there and there's so little time.
Exactly.
And you're not supposed to, as a guidance counselor in the public school system, you're not supposed to have kids pulled out of their academic classes either. So you've got to deal with that. And really creating the small, homey, comforting area where you know what's going to happen and you know who you're going to be dealing with, that there's no surprises. I think, you know, gives you more opportunity to, as you said, for that growth and to show your individuality in a positive way.
Exactly. So if like Miss Adrian's not available, I can go to another counselor. It is not like I have to sit there and wait. If they're on their break, okay, of course I'm not going to obviously go bother somebody if they're on their break, but it's like they have time for you. It's not like they're just there just to be like, oh, so how are you doing your classes? Okay, you can go back to class now. It's not like that. It's like, what's going on at home? How are you feeling today? Do you need something to drink? Do you need help? Like, what's going on? Tell me. Be open with me because it's confidential. So
They'll be able to delve a little deeper
Exactly.
into what's going on and what's creating the situation.
So at PACE, we really do provide a holistic approach. Many of the girls have experienced a trauma. That could be a sexual trauma. It could be something as small as bullying at school. But bullying at school can be a very, very difficult thing, especially, you know, to different people. But the trauma bleeds into everything that they do in their life, and a lot of times can negatively affect, you know, academics. So our job is to really get at the root of that, to work with the girl, to work with the family, and figure out what services are needed. You know, some of our girls are in foster care, some are homeless, you know, some need help figuring out where to get their next meal consistently, or some might need help getting clothing. And we really take that holistic approach, and we've created really great partnerships in the community, and we're strengthening them every day to make sure that our girls and the families that they're a part of really have the services that they need. And from an academic standpoint, it's 1 to 14 in the classroom as a maximum. Some classes are even smaller than that. So when you're able to work more one-on-one academically, you know, as a
Former school
as a
teacher.
former school teacher, high school teacher, how quickly positive results can happen.
Yeah. But I also know how, I call it the rose-colored glasses effect, even though it's the opposite of the rose-colored glasses. Because when someone has the rose-colored glasses on, everything looks rosy. Everything looks beautiful. But when those glasses have something negative in them, then everything you're viewing comes through that filter. And even good things in your eyes all of a sudden are not so good because you're seeing them through the filter. And that's the other thing that I think kids of all ages, but especially teenagers, that it doesn't matter how much somebody tells you something until you believe it in your heart.
Yes.
And we have a Spirited Girls class as well, and that is like a psychoeducational group setting where girls have that opportunity to talk about topics with a certified teacher, topics such as bullying, pregnancy prevention, STD, STI prevention, how to be safe on the internet, to kind of help them transition into young womanhood with the appropriate tools and know what to do and what not to do. And that's a really good class for our girls. A lot of time our teenage girls, they get advice from their peers, and the advice that they get from their peers is
I see
age-appropriate advice. So
yeah.
they have that opportunity to still have that conversation with their peers, but it is guided by an adult who can provide them with statistics and provide them with the right way to handle life situations.
So how can the community help to make your program stronger?
Do you want to take it?
You can take it.
Well, first and foremost, we are, excuse me, swallowed a gulp of air there. We are having an open house on Thursday, October 3rd from 4 to 6. So we would love for anybody and everybody to come out and learn more and see firsthand what we do at the center. Although we are an academic program, we are a nonprofit. We are a 501c3, so we do rely on community support and philanthropic donations to strengthen our program. So again, Thursday, October 3rd from 4 to 6, and that is going to be at the Pace Center for Girls, which is 3651 Virginia Avenue. To give you a little bit of direction on where that is, it's right next to Indian River State College on the corner of Virginia and 35th.
And you have a Facebook page that people can check with too, to give some guidance.
Pace Center for Girls Treasure Coast, that is our Facebook page. Please follow us. We have amazing posts. You can see our girls. We highlight everything that we do in our center that makes us so great.
And also a website what people can go to get more information as well,
www.pacecenter.org.
.pacecenter.org. And I think that brings you to the main PACE website,
Yes.
and then there's a Treasure Coast link.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yes,
you'll
so
see
since
all
we
of-
do have 21 locations across the state, we do have a landing page for each of the locations. So you can go to the locations tab, click on Treasure Coast, and you'll find our specific information.
How does that work for you? Does that work in a positive way that you have the 21 locations because you can borrow, ideas that other locations have done, or they can, you can share what works as a success for you?
So I'd love to answer this question, and I think Adrian has some insight as well. I come from the business world. I also come from nonprofit, and this is a little bit of a hybrid, and I think that it's amazing. It truly forms a collaboration that you just wouldn't be able to have any other way. And we're very, very blessed because we have proven our success in being able to keep girls out of the Department of Juvenile Justice.
95%.
95% after completing the program.
How exciting is that?
We have received an amazing funding opportunity from them. They provide $21 million to the organization as a whole to ensure that we're able to operate. So they kind of lay the foundation and allow us to have our centers open.
What percentage of funding does that turn out to be about?
60 to 70%.
Yeah, so the lion's share, but that still creates a situation where you have 30 to 40% that you have to provide in addition. Who else do you get funding from?
We're very thankful for the St. Lucie Public School District. They help us not only with funding, but with training. They refer girls to our center. It really is an amazing partnership that we have with them. And Children's Services Council of St. Lucie have been an amazing partner for many, many years. United Way has also been a partner for many years.
So a lot of local community support with the school system and with Children's Services and United Way. But then you also have individuals and businesses that also step up to the plate.
Yes, and we really need we really need the community to know what we do, so that they can continue to support us and support these girls and in what their dreams are. Although we do have a very strong foundation, there is that gap that we do need to fill. And the better we fill it, the better the girls are served. So we really look to deepen the impact and give them the best experience that they can get. And that all goes to us working together as a community and making that happen.
Well, Jakaya, you talked about your academics, that you already had pretty decent academics. So that means if you hadn't been taught at a high enough level, you would have been bored in these classes. Are they certified teachers that teach you?
Yes. Yeah, they are. They're very professional. They make sure they have every teacher has a different teaching style. So either it could be personal, it could be anything. And most of the teachers there are very personal with us, so they have a personal connection with us. So even if we don't want to talk about like necessarily our work, or if we're done with our work, or if we're ahead, like we can actually have a conversation with them. So it's not just like, oh, hi and bye because you just give me my work. It's like, hi, can I have lunch with you sometimes, or can I come to your classroom sometimes, or like, can you help me? It's a connection, just like how we have with the counselors. And it's very good because you can actually relate to your teachers. They make the education fun. You get to watch movies sometimes, maybe listen to music while you work, and it just depends.
So, Adrian or Jakaya, how would you describe the typical day of the Pace Center girl?
Okay. So basically, in the morning we have breakfast around, I want to say 9:15, 9:30 is first period. So everybody goes to their classes. It's kind of like, I want to say, what's the word? It's very, 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 very tight. It's like very tight-fitted. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of like
close-knit.
Yeah, you have to be in your specific class. There's no like, if you do go to another class, you have to ask for permission.
Oh, regimented.
Yeah,
that's the word you're looking for.
So you have to ask for permission from your teacher. Then your teacher has to call the other teacher that you want to go to.
Okay. So people can't just like float around the campus.
That's not. You have to make sure you're getting your academics together. You have to stay in your class, and we go to lunch around about, I want to say 12, somewhere around 12. Then we go back to our classes, and at the end of the day, there's about 30 minutes for enrichment. So Mondays, you go back to your first period. Tuesdays are advisee, I think. Wednesdays are, I want to say,
Empowerment Wednesday.
Wednesdays. Thursdays are clubs, so like poetry club, choir, art. And then Fridays are culture.
Our Culture Fridays.
Yes, Culture Fridays.
Very good. See, she could be teaching there next year.
So, Adrian, can you explain Empowerment Wednesday, Culture Fridays, and then maybe talk about the Growth and Change System?
Absolutely. So, Empowerment Wednesdays, that is when we have a guest speaker from the community come in to empower our girls. They may give their life story and just keep them encouraged and uplift our girls on an array of topics. So, anyone can send us a message through our Facebook page if they want to be involved in that, empower our girls, or give us a call so that they can get on a schedule for the Empowerment Wednesdays. And then Friday, that's like our culture forum. That is when we all get together as a group, girls and staff, and we kind of reflect on the week. We get to the girls and staff can give public apologies for anything that may have happened throughout the week. We can recognize the girls, or the girls can recognize staff for any accomplishments or just little things that they've noticed about the girl or that staff member throughout that week. And it's just a time for us to build cohesiveness as a team. We like to keep our girls included in everything that we do, so that gives us the opportunity as adults to listen to what the girls want to implement in the program, and we take that very seriously because we serve them and we want them to be happy there. And then we have 9 values and guiding principles, And we recognize the girls for those values and guiding principles. And I can give you a few, like honoring the female spirit. What did she do this week to show that she honors herself and she respects her female spirit and the others around her? Exhibiting courage. What did she do that week that was courageous? You know, she may have had a difficult time that night at home, and we know that she still made it through that day. So we thank her for that. Investing in her future. That's for a girl who she may have had an issue with truancy, but we're starting to see her come to school more or lift her head up off the desk more to engage in her academics. So we like to keep those values and guiding principles rolling throughout the week with our girls and then highlight them at the end of the week. And our growth and change system, that is a system where we know that our girls, change takes time, change feels funny, and we want to recognize them for those milestones that that they reach. So they come into the program, they're on the opportunity stage, and they continue to go up stages at the end of like every 30 days, and we have a party to recognize them. So we just had some girls leave the opportunity stage to go up to, I believe, the responsibility stage, and we had a ceremony for the girls in front of their peers. They were able to read out of their booklet some accomplishments that they've made since being in the program. And as a reward, as an incentive, we took them to Indian River State College, where they received a makeover with their cosmetology department.
What a cool idea.
And they absolutely loved it. So that's a part of being strength-based. Keep giving the girls a reason to want to make those changes and to help them understand that it may feel funny, but look at the rewards that you're getting for these positive changes.
What happens when somebody comes into the program that just doesn't want to be there and then continues to battle against it? Is there...
Everyone's journey is different, and I like to start that with our girls when they come into the program. We do an intake just to assess the girl and her parent prior to accepting them into our program. So during that intake, we can kind of talk to them about what to expect and kind of get their input as to whether or not they want to be there, because we are voluntary. Some girls are really excited and gung-ho, and then we have those girls who are teetering on the idea of being there, and they may be very emotional during the intake meeting. So we are really careful and intentional about how we engage with that girl, and that goes back to being trauma informed. And Jakaya mentioned how the teachers are even so receptive and responsive to their needs. Our teachers are trauma informed as well, and they take that extra time to make that girl feel comfortable. So we're meeting her where she is and helping her grow. We've had girls where they couldn't make it the entire day in the program, because of anxiety or whatever the reason is. So we're going to meet her where she is. Maybe she's going to start off doing half days, and a parent will come pick her up, or we get her home, and then we will gradually have her in a full day program. So we really meet them where they are.
And so there's not one size fits all for the girls that are there.
No cookie cutter.
Yeah.
No. And that we have to recognize that when working with youth in general, there's not one way. We can't take one approach and apply it to all the girls that we serve, because it just wouldn't work.
And, of course, as teachers, we try to differentiate in the classroom too. But when you have 150 to 180 kids coming in and out of your classroom every day, that's a difficult task to do. And you're working with, up to how many girls?
We have a slot for 51 girls. We kind of cap out at 56 girls in our program.
And how many do you currently have?
Right now, we have 43 girls in the program, so we are currently enrolling.
And if people are interested in getting information about enrollment, who would they contact?
They can contact myself, Adrienne Huggins, or Ashley Gilbert, and our number is 595-8880, and we will get the ball rolling. We will get that family in to start the intake process, and our academic manager, she reviews the transcripts, because we want to make sure the girl is a right fit. We never want to remove a girl from a situation where she is receiving the services that she may need academically and put her in a situation where she may fail. So our academic manager is very thorough at going through those transcripts to make sure that everything she needs can be met at pace.
Sometimes the girls that are the smartest are the most difficult to deal with. So you want to make sure that the academics are still challenging them.
Yes.
Because they know how to work the system.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Because sometimes they just get bored, because they are so smart. And then those societal influences also come in through their peers or their home or their neighborhood, just causing them distractions.
Miss Adrienne, I wish I could just bottle you up and play you over the phone to my daughter, who is 24, away from home. She just graduated from grad school and is working her first job, but she still has those times where she just doesn't know if what she's doing is the right thing, and she wants reinforcement, and she does not want it from her mother.
It's always difficult to take those conversations from a parent, and hearing it from an outside influence can help you a little better, because you feel like, oh, my mom, my dad, they don't know what they're talking about, because I know I struggled with that coming up. But when you start hearing it from other players in your life, you're like, hey, maybe I'm the one that's not on the court. And that's when you kind of join the game and play the game the way it should be played.
Well, I know, Jakaya, you can probably reflect on this too, but it's not just the things that people are trying to improve about you that are hard to listen to, but the positive things about yourself. When somebody in your home environment is complimenting you on something you're doing, or the way you're looking, or how you're singing, or how quick you are at algebra, it doesn't mean as much as when somebody else does it.
Right. That was a problem for me. It was just like my mom would tell me the same things that they told me, and I was just kind of like, well, you tell me this all the time, so I'm just like, I don't really.
You just have to say it because you're mama.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't really care. And she was like, well, you're gonna care one day.
Yeah.
So it's just So she put me in that program, and it really did help me, because when I got there, they were telling me the same thing, and I'm just like, okay, so if I want to stop hearing this, I'm going to have to do what I have to do in order for them to see, like, I understand you.
That's a heck of a legacy your mom gave you, putting you in that program, helping you to find that program.
I'm glad she did it, too, because it made a big impact.
Yeah. It's almost like she could see the future.
Yeah.
And that it was the whole rose-colored glasses thing.
Right. She knew that it wasn't really clear for me about what I was going to do in my life. She knew that it wasn't, like, I wasn't really going down a good path, and it was only going to get worse as I got older, because procedures, when it comes down to juvenile justice, procedures get bigger and bigger and bigger as the older I got. And it was just kind of like, I didn't really want to put myself in that predicament, to the point to where, because my record is clean. I've never been in jail. I've never been on probation. It was like, I made sure I stayed out of that.
You're good to
category.
go. Yeah.
Exactly.
You got a clean slate. So where do you want to go? So what do you want to do? What does the future hold?
So my plan is to go to IRSC. I'm going to get my bachelor's in biology. So therefore I can go to medical school, then go to residency, so I can become a trauma surgeon.
That's awesome. That is very awesome. And it's kind of a sad reflection that when a woman or a girl says that they're into the math and sciences, that even those of us that are really pro change for women are surprised.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, you want to be a trauma surgeon. Oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, it's different. Like, because not a lot of people are just like, oh, I want to save lives. I want to mean something to somebody. Not a lot of people want to do that. They just want to be maybe a teacher or a doctor. No, I want to be a surgeon.
Yeah. And so how are you with, like, emergencies and with blood and stuff like that?
Honestly, when it comes down to stuff like that, I'm a fast thinker, because when the situation happened with my mom, I had to be a fast thinker. It was just kind of like, you have to do this, you have to do that, you got to be on your stuff, because it's just like, you can't, there's no time to waste. And I knew from that point on, I I didn't want the same thing that happened to me to happen to another child or another family, because I know how tragic that could be. I want to be the person who recovers somebody, or I want to be the person who removes a bullet from somebody's heart, anything. So I'm just like, I knew from that point on, I have to be in surgery.
Well, that sounds like that's another point in which your mother has influenced your life as well. So, and I have no doubt that you were going to accomplish everything you set your mind to, because you're just
Yeah.
you're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm
you're
gonna
going
do
to do it. Yeah.
It's going to happen.
So, Megan or Adrian, what where do you see Pace Center for Girls in the next few years, or in the next 10 years? Where do you see your new baby growing?
Oh, I'm dreaming, and I'm dreaming big, and we have the staff dreaming big too. So only time will tell, but I know that St. Lucie County is an amazing county, and when we work together, we can move mountains. And I know that there is a lot of collaborations that can happen, especially in the mental health space for youth in our county, that PACE can help make a difference in. So I definitely see us growing to serve additional girls in need that maybe don't need to come to the center on a full-time basis, but do need more of that one-on-one care. And then, of course, we've got 2 neighboring counties that have a lot of girls in them that I'm sure have a lot of needs as well. So I'm very, very excited to see how we can all work together and truly make a phenomenal impact in these girls' lives.
It would be great to take away some of the stigma that's out there about asking for help or seeking help, that to make it a strength that someone or their family or the people around them are asking for help instead of a weakness.
Yes, and it is. And that's one of our values. Courage. Asking for help is courage. You've realized in yourself that you need assistance to get to wherever it is that you need to be, and it could be something as such as a menial task, but you recognize that you need the support. So instead of struggling or doing it the wrong way, you're asking for assistance.
And that's important, again, no matter how old or young you are, that you're able to, the only person that's not the smart person is the one that will fail rather than ask for help. Because we live in an incredible community on the Treasure Coast, and I have seen a lot of other social service agencies and communities where people don't work together so well. But there are so many different ways that the needs are met through either the United Way or the Children's Services Council or the Council of Social Services. There's a lot of different programs and needs that are met. Help Me Grow 211, through people working together and knowing what other services are there in the community, and making recommendations. I honestly, I was extremely impressed with Jakaya, and I just wonder if you have 40 other girls like her back.
We do, and we hope you'll come and visit them on October 3rd, which is next Thursday, from 4 to 6 p.m. because we're going to be having an open house. The St. Lucie County Chamber is going to be there. They're going to do a ribbon cutting for us. The girls have some performances planned. They would love to take you on a personal tour. Jakaya is going to share her story and her vision for her future.
So this was good practice for you.
Yes, it was.
Well, we're going to probably use this show again and keep it as something that we can use at a later date, even though we are talking about the open house, because I want to point out that you don't need an official open house to call Megan or to call Adrian or to contact them to come and schedule a tour or figure out a way that you could help be part of Empowerment Wednesday. or, just leave a legacy, that in your will to pace girls. If you're a woman or a man who's struggled at any point in your life and you're excited to see that this is an organization that helps girls to succeed and how they do it, what age do you have to be a part of PACE? Is there
11 to 17 and a half.
11 to 17 and a half. So once you're 17 and a half, you have to graduate or find something else to do.
Well, you have to be 17 and a half to actually enroll in the program.
Okay.
So we can't do an enrollment on someone who's already 18.
Gotcha.
If you turn 18 in the program, we will allow you to complete what you are currently working on in the program. You just can't be turned 19 in the program. So when they turn 18, we start planning for what it's going to look like within the next few months. So at the end of the semester, we're working with the district very closely to kind of identify another placement for the young lady so that she can graduate successfully.
And that creates in itself a comfort knowing that you know what the next step is going to be.
One thing we didn't touch on, which kind of flows right into what you guys are saying, is the transition services that we do. So once our girls complete the program, we follow them for a year to 3 years to make sure that where they're at, they're thriving.
Yes, and we see Jakaya almost every day.
Yes.
But we love to see Jakaya every day.
So transition services are for the girls in your program, but I could see extreme need, Megan. I don't think it's too much of a dream to think about the possibility that there would be some girls that could benefit part-time from programs. And there's a lot of opportunity to grow the program both in location and the amount of girls that you serve every year.
So several other of our sister locations have what we call a REACH program, which allows therapists and counselors to work with girls that don't need to attend the center every day and provide the strength-based, trauma-informed care that these girls are lacking or need. So we have a model.
And you have something that you can follow, and then there's other things that you're going to lead in. Megan Johnson is the new executive director of PACE Center for Girls. Adrian Huggins is the program director, and Jakaya is a recent graduate of the program. If you want more information, check out their Facebook page or their website. And check out their open house coming up this Thursday. So thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. I'm here every week with more.
Archives of the Sue Ellen Sanders Show can be found on YouTube. Just simply look for WPSL TV on YouTube and episodes, archives of the Sue Ellen Sanders Show.